The unexpected encounter. The soft voice of the middle-aged woman broke the silence. "Sweetheart, let's take a break on that stone and have some water." Her tone was warm and soothing as she glanced at her daughter. Dressed in black with a white scarf, the woman gazed fondly at her daughter, who was gently placing the bundle of herbs on the ground. With tender hands, she reached out to brush the leaves from her daughter's hair, then pulled out a wooden comb. "You've only been picking herbs for half a day, and your hair is already in such a mess. Sit down, let me comb it for you," she said. The daughter obediently sat down, and the mother began combing her hair with the black comb. The girl's smooth black hair swayed gently in the wind. Her mother remained silent, deep in thought. The girl, meanwhile, observed an ant crawling on a leaf beneath her. Everything around them seemed peaceful and still. The mountain path, where they had discovered herbs during their search, was rarely traveled. The surrounding forest was quiet, with only the occasional chirp of birds. Behind them stood a large locust tree, its intertwined roots sprawling across the ground. As the girl chattered away about herbs, an unexpected chill swept over her. Just as she turned to see what was happening, a sudden blow struck her head, knocking her unconscious. A gust of cold wind roused her. It was dusk now. She tried to move, but realized she was tightly bound to the roots of the tree. Panic set in as she scanned her surroundings and screamed, "Mom, where are you?" The sound of a knife sharpening echoed faintly nearby. She tried to turn her head, but the pain in her skull was unbearable. It was then that she realized her hair had been split in two and tied to the tree. That explained why she couldn't move her head. Terrified, she screamed again, "Mom, please help me. Where are you?" Then she heard a familiar voice, her mother's voice, soothing and calm. "Be quiet, sweetheart. The pain will stop soon." Upon hearing her mother's voice, the girl's fear faded, and she called out louder, "Mom, please come untie me. It hurts so much." The sound of the knife grinding continued, each stroke sending a chill through her. Her mother's voice came again, stronger now. "Be patient, my dear. Just a little longer. I'm almost done." The girl, now sobbing, asked through her tears, "Mom, what are you doing? Why are you tying me up?" Through her blurred vision, she saw her mother approaching, holding a sharp shovel that gleamed in the moonlight. Her mother's smile was cold as she gently caressed the sharp blade. "I've sharpened it for a long time. I wanted to make it quick for you, my dear. A sharp blade will make the pain go away quickly," her mother said coldly. The girl could hardly believe her ears. "Mom, do you want to kill me?" Her mother's eyes hardened. "You shouldn't have existed, child. You were born into this world by mistake, with blind eyes. There's no point in talking anymore. It's time for you to go. Don't worry, it will be over soon." With those words, the woman raised the shovel high and gouged out her daughter's eyes. After the deed was done, she cried out, "Don't blame me for this. You were born with no eyes." The moon seemed to hide behind the clouds, unwilling to witness the horrific scene. The girl's desperate, agonizing screams startled the birds, and the forest filled with the eerie scent of blood. As the girl's blood flowed freely, her once beautiful face was now a crimson mask. Her eyes were gone, leaving only two empty sockets from which blood poured out. The woman carefully wrapped the eyes in her headscarf, placing them gently in her arms before slowly packing up her things. Without looking back, she turned and descended the mountain, her daughter's faint voice echoing in the distance. "I will get my revenge. I will get my revenge." A new morning. One beautiful morning, on a simple bed in a quiet residential neighborhood, Tessa was lost in the sweet fragrance of her dream. Suddenly, her phone rang. She grabbed it, eyes still closed, muttering, "Who's calling at this hour? Haven't you got any consideration for a peaceful night's sleep?" A voice on the other end chirped cheerfully, "It's past midnight?" "The sun's already up, dear. Come over to my place. I'm back." Tessa jolted awake. It was her best friend, Daisy. She grumbled back, "You troublemaker, the world's peaceful when you're gone, but when you come back, it's like a storm has hit. Do I have to come and welcome you?" The phone clicked off, and Tessa sat still for a moment. She knew Daisy wasn't someone to mess with. If you tangled with her, you'd have a hard time escaping the chaos she left behind. Just then, a black cat leaped onto the bed, its eyes locked onto hers, clearly demanding breakfast. "Hi, Bao Bao," Tessa said as she petted the cat. "Today, we have to deal with that troublemaker Daisy." Bao Bao, her beloved pet, was a stray Tessa had rescued from a dumpster one cold winter night. Now it lived a pampered life with gourmet food, plush bedding, and plenty of toys. After a quick shower and makeup, Tessa looked into the mirror. A beautiful, tall woman stared back at her, dressed in a stylish outfit that fit her perfectly. But she sighed. Despite having everything a woman could want, she still hadn't found a boyfriend. Was it because her standards were too high, or had all the good men disappeared? Daisy, a wealthy heiress, lived a carefree life, traveling the world and enjoying luxuries. She had just returned from a long vacation, bringing back an array of exotic gifts. Whenever she was bored, she'd get in her car and drive to wherever the road took her. No plans, no schedule, and always a stack of souvenirs when she returned. To reach Daisy's house, Tessa had to pass through a beautiful garden. When she entered the spacious living room, she found 3 people sitting around. Tessa handed Bao Bao to Daisy, who was already calling it her little darling. Lamb stood up and handed Tessa a drink. She had an edgy, fashion-forward style, always up to date on the latest trends. Lacey, Daisy's cousin, sat in the corner playing with some antique trinket. Despite being related to Daisy, she carried herself with the elegance of someone from a distinguished family, poised, gentle, and refined. As soon as Daisy returned, the group gathered. While enjoying strawberries in the dining room, everyone listened intently to Daisy's captivating stories from her recent travels. "I just came back from Tuong Te," Daisy said. "The roads were difficult, but everything there was incredible. It's so quiet and beautiful. At night, the stars seemed so close, you could almost reach out and touch them. The sunset was breathtaking, with smoke rising from the village houses. You all have to go next time. It's like heaven." As she spoke, the others eagerly demanded souvenirs. Daisy, who always loved this part, proudly presented a large box, carefully removing the silk ribbon. They all watched in anticipation as Daisy unwrapped the box. Inside was a single piece of red cloth. The color was stunning, unlike anything any of them had ever seen. The fabric seemed to glow with warmth, drawing them in. Lacey gasped, "I can't believe how beautiful this color is." "Where did you find this, Daisy?" they all asked, mesmerized by the cloth's beauty. With a smug smile, Daisy replied, "I found it in a small town. This was the only piece left. I just had to take it." As they all sat around, gently caressing the cloth, admiring its smooth texture, Daisy casually remarked, "I'm gonna make a cheongsam out of this. If there's any left over, you can share it. It's big enough to make several." And so the red fabric became a part of their lives, subtly weaving its way into their story. Chapter 2. Refusal to tailor. Women nowadays rarely go to get custom-made clothes because the selection in stores is more than enough for them to choose from. Some clothes can make their owners look breathtaking. Everyone needs a wardrobe like that. It can highlight the beauty of the wearer. Its presence is like the platinum border around a diamond, enhancing the dazzling beauty of the diamond. Every woman needs a set like that. Daisy had a fashion designer's sketch in her hand, but she had to drive with Tessa and the others to a small town to find a tailor. She was frustrated and, while driving, said, "Why do we have to go all the way to a small town to find a tailor? This is such a hassle. Why do talented people always hide in remote places? It's so ridiculous." When people succeed, they tend to be a little eccentric, not socializing much, which is why they don't make many business deals. Lamb replied sagely. Tessa, however, was lost in thoughts about her cat and said nothing. Bao Bao was her precious little one. No matter how beautiful the scenery outside was, she couldn't be distracted. She thought to herself, could Bao Bao just be a passerby in my life? The town was quiet, maybe everyone was taking a nap. Only a few children were playing in the narrow alley, the sound of their feet echoing faintly, lep-bep, as they ran along the stone path. In this small town, it only took a few alleys to get to the small tailoring shop. Inside the shop, there were piles of blue and red fabric hanging around, with scraps of cloth scattered everywhere. A large pair of scissors rested on an old sewing machine. Is this where the master tailor is hiding? Daisy couldn't believe her eyes. As the door opened, everyone looked inside and saw a middle-aged man with a bald head and dark skin, looking honest and simply dressed. Was this really the talented tailor they had traveled so far to find? They stammered and presented the reason for their visit, showing the design sketches, but the man just glanced over them quickly. My name is Ho. Before we discuss the tailoring, let me see the fabric first, the man said sternly. Lamb, with a satisfied look, opened the box and carefully unwrapped the paper. She noticed the edge of the fabric seemed to move, almost as if the fabric had its own life, wanting to open by itself. Eventually, the fabric was fully spread out. Mr. Ho stood frozen for a long time, as if enchanted. Lamb smiled with pleasure. It seemed that even someone as experienced with fabrics as Mr. Ho couldn't take his eyes off the special piece of cloth. The four of them exchanged smiles, feeling a thrill. Mr. Ho held the fabric up under the light. It shimmered like a belly dancer's adornment, glowing with an almost magnetic allure that seemed to captivate men. He held it, lost in thought, perhaps designing in his mind. It seemed he had forgotten about the rest of them. Lacey whispered, "It looks like he likes the red fabric, doesn't it?" "Ridiculous," the others answered in unison. Lacey felt deflated and curiously wandered to the darker side of the house. Through the dim doorway, she noticed that the floor was scattered with objects. The hallway led to a wooden room, which was very dark, as it didn't have any skylights. She hesitated but entered. Seeing the simple belongings of the people in the small town, she felt quite out of place, as she had grown up in a privileged family. She had never had the chance to visit such places. Even the vanity table was unusual. As she saw the vanity in the far room, she walked toward it. The room was sparsely furnished, with only an old bed, and the mirror was covered in a layer of dust, suggesting it had been a long time since anyone had come here. In front of the mirror was a small chair, so she sat down and admired the old vanity table for a while. It was made of precious wood and beautifully carved, large and sturdy, with a round mirror and a comb resting on it. Seeing her hair slightly messy, she picked up the comb and began to comb her hair. Her hair was beautiful, black, shiny, and just long enough to reach her shoulders. Since she was young, she had always admired the way her face looked, softly reflected in the mirror, and she smiled. But just as her smile was still on her lips, she suddenly saw a figure briefly appear in the mirror. Though it passed quickly, she could clearly see it was an old woman, hunched over, dressed in black, her head covered by a white scarf. The old woman's face was hidden, and she was walking from the door. In a panic, Lacey grabbed the comb, but when she turned around, there was no one. She chased after the figure, but was only met with a cold gust of wind. There was no sign of anyone. She grew more confused and frightened, ready to run outside. Just as she reached the door, a wrinkled hand appeared from behind the wooden door. She froze. It was impossible to believe what her eyes were seeing. Standing before her was the old woman she had just seen in the mirror. The white scarf was tied low on her head, obscuring her face, but it was clear it was the same woman. The old woman shuffled slowly toward her. Lacey, terrified, froze in place. The old woman extended her left hand toward her and weakly spoke. "Give it back to me! Give it back to me!" Lacey screamed loudly and collapsed onto the floor. Mr. Ho heard the commotion and quickly put the fabric down, rushing inside to check. The others, including Tessa, quickly ran in to help Lacey. Mr. Ho went in first and gently asked the old woman, "Mom, why are you out here?" The old woman stubbornly extended her hand toward Lacey and repeated, "Give it back to me!" "What are you talking about? Give it back," she shouted. "I don't have it," Lacey replied, confused through her tears. Tessa noticed that Lacey was waving a comb in her hand and immediately took it and asked, "Where did this come from?" Lacey hurriedly returned the comb to the old woman's hands and quickly withdrew her own. Daisy stared at her with wide eyes. Lacey quickly explained, "I saw that the mirror on the vanity was covered in dust, so I thought no one had lived in the room for a long time. My mother's eyesight isn't very good, so she can't see much. That's why Lacey was mistaken. It's nothing, really. Everyone, don't crowd at the entrance. Let's help Lacey get some rest and calm down," Mr. Ho explained. Everyone entered, and the old woman slowly followed them. Once back in the room, Lacey sat on the armchair. The old woman didn't speak, but continued to feel around the room, slowly shuffling toward the corner. To comfort his mother, Mr. Ho took the fabric and walked toward her, saying, "Mom, touch this fabric. It's really beautiful. I've never seen anything like it before." A sharp voice rang out, "Put it down!" Everyone jumped and looked at the old woman in the corner, shocked to hear her yell again, "Put it down! Give it back to me!" Mr. Ho quickly asked, "Why?" The old woman suddenly raised her head, revealing a face full of wrinkles, her eyes white and blank. Her gaze seemed to command, "Give it back to them." The four of them huddled together in a corner, frightened by the old woman. Mr. Ho choked up and said, "Mom, you can't see. You don't know how beautiful this fabric is. This material is one of a kind. With it in my hands, I can make the most beautiful garment. Please, let me keep it." The old woman repeated each word, "Put it down, give it back to them," as she slowly shuffled into the inner room. Mr. Ho hesitated and said, "My mother has never come out here before, and she's never interfered with my work. I don't know why she's acting this way today. It's really strange."